We now move to special orders of business. Is there a motion relative to item SP1?
Mr. Mayor, I will move item SP1, ordinance 58024, establishing ranked choice voting for elected officials in the city of Evanston as approved by voter referendum.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, I was muted. I was asking for 30 seconds to close.
Counsel.
Mayor Biss?
I'm going to ignore the phrase to close. I guess I'll give you 30 seconds and say that that's the last kind of time allocation violation that I'll allow this evening. Go ahead.
Thank you. I really encourage my colleagues. I really want you to think about this. Imagine a few months down the line when we have voters thinking that they're going to have ranked choice voting and we don't. And this council, this will be a grand example of when democracy fails, when you have a group of folks who just are not listening one iota to someone who actually knows what the hell they're talking about. And we're just
Thank you very much. Those are your 30 seconds.
This is a shame. This is really disappointing, and I'm disappointed in all of you for not even
Councilmember Reed,
figuring this out, knowing damn well.
Councilmember Reed, what is it? Councilmember Reed, what is your vote on this issue?
My vote is hell no.
Okay. Councilmember Kelly. Councilmember Harris. Aye. Councilmember Wynn. Councilmember Newsma.
Aye.
Councilmember Burns.
Aye.
With 7 voting aye and 1 voting hell no, the motion carries. Ordinance 58-0-24 is introduced, and we'll do this again in 2 weeks for action. This brings us now to Councilmember Newsma moves introduction of Ordinance 58-0-24. Councilmember Wynn seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, would the clerk please...
Oh, I'm sorry. No, my hand is raised.
Councilmember Reed.
Thank you. I don't know where to start with this. At our last rules meeting, Council voted to receive an update from our outside law firm, and that hasn't been received yet by Council. Can someone clarify as to why we have not received that?
Yes, thank you for asking, Councilmember. The direction from the city was for our outside counsel to investigate whether it would be necessary and appropriate for the city to enter into litigation with the county clerk's office. Shortly thereafter, I learned that the county clerk was gravely ill. I thought it was totally inappropriate for the city, under those circumstances, to enter into a hostile litigation with the county clerk's office, and so we backed off. Tragically, the county clerk passed away, has since been replaced, and there are outside groups that are concerned about the pace of implementation of this, who are interested in continued advocacy on this topic, and this ordinance is something that actually you yourself have floated as something that could potentially be a relevant part of implementation, and so this is an act in support of any effort to make sure that the will of the voters of Evanston, as overwhelmingly expressed in November of 2022, is reflected in the way elections are implemented in April of 2025. So that's sort of the whole story here. To answer your direct question, because of the tragic circumstances relative to Karen Yarborough's health and eventual passing, the city backed away from that effort.
Thank you. I appreciate that explanation. That is not my recollection of events. My recollection is that the Council and Rules Committee voted to receive, not to file a lawsuit against the county to implement ranked choice voting, but to simply get information as to, an update as to the legality of ranked choice voting or the method that we entered into. And I think even having this ordinance before us is an acknowledgement that maybe, folks like myself who've had concerns about the way we've gone about this were right. So I'm curious from the law department, why are we passing this ordinance?
Thank you, Councilmember Reed. Alex Ruggie, Corporation Counsel. Councilmember Reed, it's exactly as the mayor just explained. There's certain advocacy groups in the community that wish to seek implementation, and so this ordinance was advised to assist those efforts.
How does this assist the efforts?
It is my understanding that the ordinance just strengthens the argument for implementation, and so that was the direction we were given.
How does it strengthen the argument for implementation?
I'd have to look into that further and get back to you.
Okay. So it seems as though we don't know why we're passing this ordinance. No offense to our law department. I know you're following direction from the mayor. But it seems like we don't know why we're passing this ordinance. And then if you read the ordinance, it doesn't achieve the goals that, folks like myself who have raised concerns, that an ordinance, an implementation ordinance would need to have in it. If you read any piece of legislation around ranked choice voting, there are very particular, there's particular language in there around ballot design, around how ballots are counted. This is the information that we needed to have in an ordinance before the voters went to the ballot box to vote on this, so they actually understood what they were voting for. Ranked choice voting sounds great, but if the details are not there, we could potentially be implementing a system that makes it tougher for folks to vote, not easier. And we have dropped the ball on this. We, unlike communities who have implemented ranked choice voting, we have not done our due diligence from the passing of the resolution to the passing of this ordinance to even informing voters. New York City, when they passed ranked choice voting, they spent a whole year educating folks about ranked choice voting and how to vote and what the ballot will look like. This is not what we have done here. And this ordinance does not even come close to meeting our needs for getting this implemented. We need to pump the brakes. We need to realize that we did it wrong. Admit it. It was wrong. We rushed through. Folks didn't listen. We need to take a step back, and we need to do this right. This ordinance is not doing it right. It is missing necessary information. And I'm not sure why we're here. And I think we need to pause this. We need to table this. We need to get the legal analysis from our law department, from the outside law firm, about why we're passing this ordinance, about what should be included in this ordinance. We need to pass the ordinance, and then after passing the ordinance, according to case law, that is when it is appropriate to then move a referendum forward for the voters to approve or not. It is, and I invite the lawyers out there who are interested in this to read the case law, read Harned v. City of Evanston, read the relevant case law, and understand that in order for a referendum like this to be binding, there must not be any steps left up to the county clerk's office to make up after the fact, make up procedures and rules after the fact. And that is what we're still going to be leaving the county clerk's office to do. And so according to Illinois case law, voters could not have appropriately voted on this scheme, which is not codified in state law, not codified in county law, not codified in local law. Voters didn't know what they were voting for. And I implore this council for once on this issue to pump the brakes and actually do our due diligence.